Okay, g'day everyone, welcome to the video. It's the end of financial year and a lot of you will be looking at finalising your payroll and submitting your STP to the ATO. So I thought we'd do a bit of a video and go through this end of financial year payroll checklist that Xero have put out in the last few days. So they've been putting little notifications up on their screen here. Let's see if it shows when we go into the payroll section here. So I've clicked on STP finalisation and I'm in the demo company. Okay, here it is. Get ready for EOFY 2021. Use our payroll checklist. So once I've clicked on that link, this is what we have here. So we're going to run through this document and I'll show you exactly what they're talking about. So we go down, step 1, review, check the legal trading name, ABN, address, etc. This is so that when you submit your details to the ATO as an employer, that they have the correct details on hand. So to do that, you just go into settings, organisation settings, and here we have the display name. And that's basically what it says up here in your Xero subscription, your legal and your trading name. So that your legal name would be your proprietary limited if you're a company. Organisation type, ABN, address, and so on. So you just make sure all that is correct with your latest address or whatever, and click save. And then moving on, review payroll settings. So to go to payroll settings, we go back into the settings section, and here we've got payroll settings. So let's go in there. Okay, so what have we got? Check earning and deduction pay items have been set up with the correct category, e.g. an allowance is set up with an earnings category of allowance. And there's more information here if you need it. So what they're talking about here is pay items. And we're in our earnings section of pay items. And they're just saying that, for instance, when you have an allowance or an allowance, that the earnings category is allowance here as well. Allowance, JobKeeper allowance, ordinary hours is ordinary time earnings, and so forth. If you need to edit anything, you can click on this edit and make the necessary changes. Now the next item, under the earnings tab, ensure all allowances have an ATO type assigned for correct reporting with STP. So go back into earnings, allowances exempt from tax withholding and super, edit, and this is the type here. Type is used to group allowances for reporting to the ATO. So you've got to put a type in here, whether it's car, travel, laundry, etc. What type of allowance is it? So that's what that item's talking about. Also review the reportable as W1 column to ensure earnings rates are reported correctly on activity statements. So reportable as W1, if you've lodged your BAS through the business portal, you'll be familiar with this when you put in W1 as your total earnings. And then you also have your pay-as-you-go withheld from those earnings on salaries, etc. So you can see here reportable as W1. Allowances should be included as W1. So what you'd say, you'd click this button here and save it. But then you need to put an allowance type. So we'll just say this is a travel allowance for the sake of the exercise. Reportable is W1, yes. So what else have we got? Ordinary hours, that's W1. So this is just the demo file here, guys. So not everything is necessarily how it should be. It's more just set up for having a play around and getting used to Xero. So if you're not sure exactly what you should have with ticking some of these settings in the boxes and whatnot for W1 and allowance types and that sort of thing in the payroll settings, hit us up at qtraining.net.au and we can help you get to where your settings should be, so that when you report to the ATO for STP, everything is correct from your end, everything is correct for the staff who are going to be, who that information will flow through to their personal tax returns, and also that everything is correct when you lodge your BAS statement. So now we're going to move on. Under the Deductions tab, review the excluded from W1. So we'll go to Deductions. So then you can click Review the excluded from deduction to ensure deduction pay items are reported correctly on activity statements. So if you're going to exclude it, you'd say excluded from W1 on the activity statement, and then see that's turned into yes. Now again, guys, if you're not sure what the category should be, hit us up and we can help. Now moving on, run the employee contact details report to check each employee entry for accuracy, focusing on date of birth and postcode. So what we're going to do here, we'll go to reports, open up a new screen, accounting, reports. Now this is important that you have the correct up-to-date information for your staff, because again, this is being sent to the tax office, so you just want to make sure that you're sending the correct information. There could have been a typo when you were setting them up in Xero, or maybe they changed their address, whatever it may be. But yeah, the date of birth, I guess, is quite important for matching to their tax file number, so it pays just to make sure everything is correct from your end. Employee contact details report. And here we go, it's just got, you know, your general contact details. So you just make sure everything's correct. So we're happy with that, we'll move on. Okay, so this is about reconciling your payroll ledger to the general ledger. And this is very important because if stuff has been coded incorrectly, for instance, the wages account, or if someone thought that by putting something to the wages account, they were posting a payroll, but it didn't run through the payroll ledger, the payroll register rather, that's stuff that you need to fix up before you submit the information to the tax office, because your staff will be paying tax accordingly on the amounts that you report. So you don't want to report numbers that are false and might end up them in overstating or understating the tax. So here it says, check all pay runs for the financial year have been posted and have a payment date within the financial year. So to do that, we go to pay runs. We've got a draft here. So you'd want to make sure everything is posted. This is for the fortnight ending 28th of June, payment date 29th of June. And if you're a bit late on this and it wasn't going to be paid on the 29th of June, if it was going to be paid, say, on the 1st of July in the new financial year, you got to make sure you change the date here to the 1st of July. Because that means if you didn't change the date, for one, your payroll register won't reconcile to your general ledger, because the payroll register is saying that it was paid on the 29th, but really it wouldn't have been paid until the 1st. So there'll be a mismatch there, but it also means staff would be paying tax on earnings that they didn't actually receive in that financial year. So you've got to make sure the payment date is correct, so everything lines up and the staff tax is worked out correctly. So that's how you change that, and then you post it and everything's good. We look at the next step. Check all wages have been paid through the business bank account. What I would also do at this step is have a look at the wages payable or the payroll clearing account. What I like to do is have the payroll clearing account, or the default that Xero called is wages payable. I like to have it in my watch list here, and then I always know that if the year to date is not 0, it means that either they haven't been paid or the reconciliation, when it's been reconciled here, has been coded to the wrong account. And usually when it's coded to the wrong account, it would have been put to the wages and salaries expense account. It needs to go to the liability account, which is the wages payable or the payroll clearing account, sometimes referred to. So you check that that's 0. And then what else do they have here? Check all payroll related transactions such as wages, pay-as-you-go withheld and super have been reconciled against the bank statement. So you'd reconcile all your items here to 30 June. Then you'd run a bank summary report. A bank rec summary report here. And just make sure that everything is cleared. Now I'll probably make another video in how to run the bank rec summary report, because this is an important step when you're finishing your reconciliation. It'll tell you whether you've got any duplicates or whether there's stuff that hasn't been reconciled. But the big thing that it's very handy for checking, or you need to check, is that you don't have duplicate transactions on the books. Otherwise you just wouldn't know, and your P&L or balance sheet will be out. So we do that, and we're satisfied it's all run through the bank account. Now we're going to run a payroll activity summary report, and we're going to compare it to the general ledger report. So we'll run a payroll summary report for the year. Payroll employee summary. And we'll do it for the last financial year. And this just gives you a summary of the gross earnings, deductions, tax, super and net pay paid out for the year. And what you'd also do, they've said to compare it to the general ledger report. But what I like to do is just run a P&L and run a balance sheet and compare it to that, because those numbers are pulling from the general ledger report anyway. So basically what you're going to do, you're just going to check that your earnings align to your P&L, your super aligns to your P&L, your super payable aligns to your balance sheet, your PAYGW, tax withheld, aligns to your balance sheet. And then when you've satisfied all of that and wages equals nil and everything's reconciled, there's no duplicates, you can be fairly confident that the payroll register is correct. So yeah, just what we've gone through here, compare the totals on the payroll activity summary report with the general ledger report to ensure account amounts match. Very important. Now here they've got step 3 to process the finalisation of STP. And then step 4, they've got adjustments. And I guess you may have to make an adjustment after you lodge the STP, but you might need to make an adjustment before you lodge the STP. So to do that, if it says here, you either process an unscheduled pay run and make the adjustment in the pay run, or you revert the last posted pay run to draft and then edit that last posted pay run, then post again. And then you file that to STP, and then once you've done that, you've satisfied everything is good and everything is correct, and you can move on to finalising the STP payroll data. So to do that, once most of the work, guys, is in doing the checks and making sure everything is as it should be. Once you're satisfied that everything aligns and everything is reconciled, the last step is quite simple. So we'll just go Single Touch Payroll, Finalisation, 5 employees, go to finalisation. So I should have kept that payroll summary report open. I'm going to open that up again. Because what we want to do now is compare our STP reports to the payroll employee summary report. Okay, so here we got 5 employees and we've got 5 here. So you're just going to make sure you got the same guys. James, Adet, Oliver, Sally, Tracy. James, Adet, Oliver, Sally, Tracy. So then you can click in and it'll tell you what's going to be filed. So this is basically what used to be on your payment summary. That's actually been phased out, and now we have, or what used to be known as group certificates as well, and now we have Single Touch Payroll, or STP for short. So we've got 445274 for James, and you can see here his earnings are 16401, so we know straight away something's very wrong here. Tax withheld 532. Yeah, it's way out, isn't it? But obviously, guys, we're on the demo file here. So once you've done all your checks and everything, these numbers will align. Let's have a look at someone else. Odette. 4305 gross payments for Odette. Yeah, she's different as well. But this is how it'll work, guys. So you have gross payments, this number here, bad example, will match this number here. Your total tax withheld, 572, will match this figure here. And then any deductions, lump payments, employee termination payments and so forth, fringe benefits, super contributions, all that will align once your reconciliations have been done correctly. So you're happy with that, you can save it or go next. When you're happy with everyone, you can select all and go finalise and submit to the ATO. And that's basically your last step. Submit to the ATO, check the status column. Like your STP, it might take a day or, or not even that, 15 minutes or something for it to go through to the ATO and to be approved. But yeah, maybe just come back a bit later and check that it has gone through. And then you can send off an email to your staff saying that payroll has been finalised. So they'll be able to access their data via MyGov or via their accountant. And they can go ahead and launch their tax returns. And you have until the 14th of June to get it into the ATO. And here we got another step, prepare and finalise payment summaries. This is kind of the old school way here. They're talking about in DuPay files, but that's the old school way of doing it. We used to sort of export them, put them on a CD and send the CD-ROM into the ATO in the old days. So I won't go through this now because this is pretty much obsolete in most cases. Adjustments we've already went through. Superannuation. To claim a deduction on super accruals submitted via Auto Super in Xero, super batches must be approved by the authoriser no later than 22nd of June. This is because with SuperStream, it takes some time for the super to go through the clearinghouse and then through to land in your fund, the employee's fund. So that's why you got to give it time to get there by the 30th of June if you want to claim it in this financial year. And that's pretty much it, guys. So it is very important to go through and make sure your payroll aligns before you submit it to the ATO at the end of the year. You really don't want... Xero is fantastic, but you just got to be careful not to just click through, say yes, 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 and just take everything it says, because if errors were made during the year, this won't necessarily pick them up. So you have to go through and do your reconciliation before you submit to the tax office. But that's pretty much it. I hope you got something out of the video. If you want us to come out and do some training at your office, give us a shout. If you want to organise an online session, we can do that. We can tailor it to your needs, whatever you need to do, whatever your industry. We can come out and we can do it online, and we can help you guys get to where you want to be. And other than that, we'll see you in the next one.